Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to this new edition of Sartorial Talks. Today, we are not in Burgundy, as you can see around me. We are not even in France. We are not even in Europe. We are in the United States of America, and we are more specifically in New York City, in Manhattan, in a beautiful made-to-measure company that we like with Sonia since, I would say, 2019, and it's called Enzo Custom. So the reason why we're here, there's many reasons why we're here. First of all, we like this company. Secondly, we receive from you a lot of requests. Dear Mr. Giacomedes, Miss Sonia Glynn, you always speak about England, Italy, France, you know, the tailoring places, but what about me? I live in the US. I don't have many options and many occasions to fly over to Europe. And is there any kind of good places in which I can experience custom suiting right there in my country? And our answer is in front of you right there, right now. I am in New York, but as far as I know, this company has other showrooms all around the country. And we have the pleasure to have the founder and owner of Enzo Custom, Mr. Eli Sved. Hello, Eli. How do you do?
How you doing?
It's very good.
Thank you for having
it's
me.
a pleasure to be here. The last time I came here was just before COVID.
Yes.
Do you
yes.
remember?
Yep.
I
remember that. We got a picture right outside here. I'm wearing a green suit.
Exactly. And you were kind enough to say, okay, I remember my wife, she said, oh, you have to try an MTM suit here, because you have to witness this and share this with our American public. And I said, I'm bespoke since many years. And she pushed me to say, but do it. And so I choose this very suit, dusty pink. That's the color normally. And just for the little history you may not know, you sent me the suit where we have a house in Georgia. And it was during COVID. We were back in France and with no possibility to come back to the US because it was locked down. And so the suit stayed in the box for 1.5 years. But the good news is, look at it.
Wow.
It's perfectly. It means I didn't put on any weight during the lockdown. But on top of this, I was pretty impressed about the quality of making for MTM for a suit who would retail around $1,000 or something like that. So this is why I'm very happy to have the man who founded this company. So tell us quickly about this company, the different showrooms you have, and a little bit about, is it a family thing that you are continuing, or this is something that you created, Eli?
Sure. Well, my grandfather was in the clothing business.
Okay.
He started but mostly with sewing buttons and things of that nature.
Okay.
He was more of a tailor, I would say.
Okay.
I started the business when I was getting my master's at Florida State University.
Yes.
I worked for a period of time at Citigroup,
okay.
and they had people coming around. I think there's this company called Tom James.
Yes, of course.
There was a couple more tailors that used to come around and measure people up for custom suits.
Yes.
So I thought it'd be a good idea, check it out, maybe do something on the side. First year doesn't pay too much. Mm-hmm. Nowadays, I'm not so sure anymore. But I started it by talking to the tailors that were measuring me up, asking where they got the suits from. And they told me a little bit about where they were getting them from and how they did the process.
Okay.
There were pretty low barriers to entry. Mm-hmm. I found out I could go pretty much to Italy, get some fabrics, go to Hong Kong, get some manufacturing. I mean, this was about 12 years ago.
Yes.
13 years ago at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And that's really what kind of piqued my interest originally.
Yeah. And so 12 years later, what was the first showroom you opened? It was not in New York, right?
It was in New York.
Is this one?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, it was
that's
in New
the
York.
first, that's the original one,
yes,
let's say.
Yes,
and then
correct.
you multiplied like up to 7 showrooms?
Correct.
Yeah?
So we have New York, Philadelphia, DC, Chicago, LA, Charlotte, and now Miami.
Ah, wow, it's very new, huh, Miami?
Yes. Miami's just a couple months old.
Well, this business of custom, I don't know if you see it in America, because for me, I always see America, okay, we live here 3-4 months a year, but I still see it from a European perspective. And I always wonder if you have the same phenomenon that is happening now in Europe, whereas some young men, or even not so young, actually, people who are get interested again in dressing well, they are turning very frequently now to custom suiting instead of off the rack. Is it a movement that you notice here in America?
Absolutely. I mean, and you see it also even from the factory side. If you go to Italy, you'll see many of the factories are converting their own factories to made to measure, to custom, and that's because customers get a better value ultimately from custom, from made to measure. There's no inventory. There's usually lower overhead. It's a smaller retail footprint, and it just makes sense. You don't need to go in. You don't need to be sold necessarily from an off the rack. If you walk into some of these department stores or even some of the smaller boutiques, they have to make sure something fits you. You have to make sure that the lapels are working for you. All of that stuff, you don't need to necessarily upgrade, charge somebody more money, or sell them into something that doesn't work for them. And that's why really made to measure and custom. I think it's very value oriented, and customers have become much more knowledgeable and much more looking for that value, and they find that in the custom and made to measure a lot more.
So you noticed the education have been on the rise, right?
Oh, yes, absolutely.
Thank you, because this is what we do every day. So we have the impression not to be useless when you say that to us, because we have a lot of young men that know everything about tailoring, sometimes a little bit too much, by the way, because you have to keep in mind that humility in every sector of life is good. And even when you step in a very beautiful place like that, you have to have some humility, because when you start your sartorial journey, you may not know everything. So it's good to be educated, but it's good also to have a real personal relationship with your clothier. What is I don't know if I can say that, what is the typical Enzo Custom customer, if this exists?
So I think a lot of customers come in. We do have a big wedding business nowadays, a big formal business. A lot of customers come in for their first suits. A lot of customers come in. We have a big corporate lawyers, businessmen, especially in New York City. I think it really depends on the market. You start going towards Miami or LA, and I think it's more, they get more colorful jackets and things like that to really go out, because the suit isn't as prevalent in those markets. So I think it used to be a very narrow clientele, and as we've grown organically, I know most people like to talk about a target demographic, but what's unique about our business is that we do offer 10,000, 15,000 fabrics, because
you speak about Vigunia or pure cashmere or whatever.
Exactly, because we work with Lar Piana, we work with Xenia, we work with so many different mills, and there really is no there's no
limit.
It's limitless. I mean, so you can go and you can get a fabric or a suit for $500, and you could pay $20,000 for a vicuña suit here. So really, that's led to a very wide range of customers.
I would say the average basket is around 1,000.
Correct.
But you start very, very low.
Correct.
Yeah, like 500.
Right. So that's really what makes us, I think, unique in the sense that the value we offer, and I can't underline that enough. I mean, when you come in, a lot of the clothiers, I'm sure as you're going to speak to, they're not on these huge commissions or anything. I mean, what they do is they try and focus on the people that come in for a $500 suit and treat them the same as the customers that come in for a $5,000 suit. And that's a really big part of it. I think that what makes us unique and what makes us different. And I think another part of it is that when you look at CMT in general, I mean, that's more of, I'm sure you're...
Okay, CMT is when you bring your fabric to the tailor. Is that correct?
Correct.
So that you don't buy the fabric in the place, you just bring your fabric to the tailor and then he's crafting it.
Correct.
So that he charges you for the workforce, for the work.
Correct. So there's CMT, and if you really break it up, I hope this won't take too long, but
it's okay.
CM is the cut and the make, right? So when you go to Italy, for example, a lot of the old school manufacturers, what they'll do is they'll actually cut it by hand. And when you're looking at even a pant, and there's two different panels. You're cutting that by hand. And what they do is, and what we do at Enzo, it's actually cut to within 1/16 of an inch. It's laser cut by machines.
Okay.
So everything should fit almost exactly the same. Now, different fabrics, of course, as you know, will fit differently. But the measurements usually, 99.6% of the time, to be accurate, are on point. Now, the CM, the cut and the make, is much more than that. So it's what makes something made to measure, makes something custom, what makes something. So, for example, when you're talking about the make, it's not just the styling. So you can go to one tailor and they can have 5 different lapels, and another tailor could have 50. We have hundreds of lapels. And what that means is that that's really one of the things that really makes it very customized. Is that when as you know, when you have broader shoulders,
Yes,
you want
I
to
know.
be able to have a broader lapel, and that's what it's about. It's about that permanent fashion. And if you're looking at as well, like when you're looking at somebody, for example, if they have a stoop or somebody has works out a lot or they have forward shoulders, that goes into the CM when it's talking about when you have forward shoulders and you have more bunching over here and you have it tighter in the back. So what you're looking to do is you're looking to make it for that customer. You need to make it custom. You have to put less fabric over here,
of course,
and more fabric to go in the back. Now, a lot of places that are made to measure, for example, they don't have the ability to do that
because they don't know.
Exactly,
they're not educated enough.
Exactly, and and there's a cost involved, obviously, too, in that where it costs more money to have more styles, more options for the customer. So the endless options that we do have when it comes to the styling and the cut. So that's why we don't need to upsell anybody. We don't need to. We can give them something that's customized, that's good for them. Okay, we don't need to tell them that. We're not going off the rack and telling them that this off the rack suit looks better than this off the rack suit. We can genuinely tell them, hey, I think this would look better with a thinner lapel. I think this would look better with a different kind of shoulder, a softer shoulder, or maybe a roped shoulder. And that, I think, is one of the most important things about custom.
Each time we visit made-to-measure salon, not a bespoke, but a made-to-measure, when we ask of a larger lapel, or a little bit rounded lapel, curved, I'll say, oh, no, I'm sorry, we can't do this because our factory only suggests like 2 width for the peak lapel and maybe 3 widths for the notch lapel. So are you telling us that in this company you have basically the sky is the limit for this kind of thing?
Correct. Well, we actually
this is very important for the people who are listening.
No, absolutely. So we don't display it on the website. When you do come in on the website, we don't want to confuse people too much. So if you go to a customized section on the website, you'll see that you can customize it in many different ways. When you come in, we have the clothiers that really try and narrow in on what you're looking for. Because a lot of people, when you're not an expert in these things, you can come out and sometimes it could look a little bit silly, right?
Yes.
We don't want people to do that. We want people to come in and we want our experts, we want the clothiers to come in and show them what to wear or give them advice and maybe guide them in the right direction.
Because it's very important because, once again, I'm sorry to ask again, it means that at this place, you can, basically the sky is the limit for the styling of your suit.
Correct.
Even if you, I suppose, have to be aligned with some specification of your factory.
Correct.
It's very important for people to understand because, there's a lot of made-to-measure places in Italy, for example. They are doing a pretty good job, but they are not very flexible in terms, they have their blog and their patterns, and they don't really know if you wanted something more rounded, a little bit more sharp, or a little bit bigger, or even the shoulders, which is the most dramatically important point in a jacket. They are very restricted, and you just tell me that there's no restriction.
Correct.
In
so
place.
what you're looking at in terms of the shoulders also, I mean, the soft shoulders, the different shoulder paddings that you can use. I mean, that was the next thing I was kind of getting into, but let me focus on this point. But definitely in terms of the lapel, there's many different options. Different rounds, like rounding it, and a lot of that has to do with new trends and styles. So that we do have, but we're a little bit more narrow. And if somebody comes in and says, I want it to be slanted here versus slanted here, I want to be, upfront and honest in terms of where we can slant that. But I can tell you, we do have many different lapels in terms of the widths that you're able to get.
And what about the shoulders? You were talking about the shoulders.
Correct. So you have the shoulders, you have all the basic shoulders, you have the roped, you have the soft shoulders.
Spalacamicia and all
exactly. All of that. That's all easy. Customers can do that whenever they'd like. When it really comes in, what's most important is the trimmings, and that was the last point. That's what we call it, CMT. So we get all our trimmings from Kufner. They're imported. They're German interlinings, German canvassing, shoulder padding, and that's really, as you know, what makes it higher quality. The amount of horsehair that's involved there, the amount of bounce in that shoulder that makes it really pop out and look much nicer. And that's what's so important, because a lot of people can camouflage and hide that in a suit.
A lot of people do.
A lot of people
They do.
Exactly. A lot of people do, and that's what's really important when you kind of grab onto the lapel here and in the front, and you'll feel it. You'll feel because to the credit of a lot of the off-the-rack places as well, their trimmings are excellent. You go in and you buy a $5,000 suit, and I can tell you their trimmings are second to none.
Well, for $5,000, you can expect to be
exactly
well trimmed. Yeah.
Exactly. But the difference is when you're talking about the C and the M, is that they can't cut it. They're not going to go back to the factory and change what you're getting. And that's the difference between the custom part. Is the C and M that you can make it for you.
So you are emphasizing something about the quality of the canvas you're using.
Correct.
And I think this is very important because most of the people, well, we are going, ladies and gentlemen, a little bit technical, but if you made it so far on this video, I guess you are passionate about everything we are saying. So the horsehair and the canvas inside, which is hidden by definition inside the jacket, it's probably what makes the biggest difference between a beautiful suit and just a normal suit, let's say. So you invested a lot of money in the choice of this.
Yes, absolutely.
And that's very, I think it's, you should be encouraged in that. And I congratulate you for that because many people, I said, okay, well, you know, canvas is canvas. The guy who's spending $800 at my place doesn't really care if this is real horsehair or if, you know, and so this is very important. I have another question that is, many people in Europe are trying to do, so they try to mix physical and digital. So they call it phygital or something like that. That is to say, to have some showrooms like you have, but also to have a website for allowing people to order online or even to have some tutorial how to measure yourself, etc. So as far as I know, on this company, you have a very advanced website, but it's only, you can't really order online only if you're already an existing customer. Is that correct?
Correct. And
this is, for me, a fantastic idea, actually.
Right. And I'll tell you why.
Yeah.
We do have access. We can purchase the same machinery. I mean, it's not hard to get, right? And you can have those big machines where people walk into and it takes all your measurements. And I've personally done it before.
Ah, you mean these scanning machines
exactly,
and all
the
that?
Scanning machines.
For me, this is bells and whistles, but I hope it's not for you. It's for you too.
Right.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
I don't mean to knock anybody else, and I wish them well.
Well, me, I can. Yeah. I can tell you, I don't think it's. I mean, at least the technology is not mature enough. Let's say that.
Correct,
yeah.
correct. I don't know what will happen in 20 years, but right now it doesn't come out with the measurements needed to make sure somebody's really getting the value that they're asking.
Yes. So it means that your website is dedicated, first of all, for people to see, to browse the fabric and make a first idea of what they can request from you. But it's also for, let's say, I'm an existing customer. You have my measurements. I didn't put 2 kilos or 3 kilos during Christmas season, and I want to order a second suit, for example. I can online because you have my measurements. Is that correct?
That's absolutely right.
Yeah, and that's very interesting because I think, well, I never heard about that. Many people who are going online in MTM, they explain to you that it is possible to make something online. Well, let me give my opinion on that. It is possible, but I would say that probably 50% of the time, if not more, you have to go through some major alteration. And the reason why is very easy to understand. Everybody can measure himself, you know, on the chest and the hips and the length, and that's easy. But what about if you have a shoulder that is a little bit lower than another one? How can you measure this by yourself? How about if you have what we call the sleeve pitch? If your posture, you have your hand like that or like that naturally, you can't measure this yourself. So this is why, in my opinion, that's the winning attitude that you have, is to have a website, but only, I mean, to display what you do, but orders are reserved for the people you already have seen in person.
Exactly, because it depends on what somebody's looking for, right?
Yeah.
If somebody can't leave their house and they're looking for a made to measure and they don't need to deal with a sleeve pitch or they don't care about a shoulder slope and they'll get 80% or 70% of the way there, I would encourage them to do it and no problem. What we have here is you come in and it's fully customized. We take that into account.
Yeah.
And once we take that into account, then you're able to reorder. And that's really the way I want to keep it. I want to keep the quality and the that Enzo Custom standard. I just want to keep that in the suit.
So thank you very much, Eli, for receiving us here. Now we're going to have a talk with Brad and Richard, two of your clothiers here, to really deep dive into the process, the measurement, and see everything that Enzo Custom has to offer. Thank you very much for having us.
My pleasure.
I have the pleasure to have with me at this table two clothiers who are working in this beautiful company. So you have Brad on my left, who is the showroom manager and also a clothier.
Correct.
Yes. And I have on my right Richard, King Richard. This is what we say in France.
Yes.
Richard,
King is fine.
who is also a clothier here at Enzo Custom. So thank you, gentlemen, to welcome me in your beautiful place.
Thank you.
And so, first of all, before putting our hands into fabric and suits and discuss process and what we all love, you know, this kind of crazy stuff. Can you believe people, they speak for 2 hours about lapels, about shoulders, about, you know, buttonholes? Where some people say, these people are slightly crazy, but we love that, you know, because it's our passion. So before really going into the fabrics and the process and everything, I have a first question, which I'm very interested to listen your point of view on that. Do you see, since I would say 5 years, some kind of a movement or an evolution or something that is happening in the made-to-measure industry? Because in Europe, I told you before, we were just having a coffee before recording this episode. In Europe, I think in Paris, for the first time in history, there are more made-to-measure operations than ready-to-wear Italian browns. And that's a big phenomenon, because back in the years in France, when people had to wear a suit for professional reasons, they were buying some crap off the rack, and you know, they didn't really question themselves about what they wanted to wear. Now, we see that when people, they don't have to wear a suit by obligation, less and less, with this stupid casual Friday and all that stuff that you guys invented in America, well, we see that people now, they decide to wear a suit, they are more inclined there to go to the made-to-measure operation. Do you see the same movement here in America, or is it still, casual is still reigning supreme?
Well, I think you see a mix of both. Especially nowadays, what we spoke about in France is that you see somewhat of a similar trend in New York as well. Mm-hmm. A lot of like major department stores are moving out, and a lot of your traditional big name suit guys who are doing retail,
yes,
they're not around anymore. And especially nowadays, the consumer is so much smarter that, you know, they're doing all this research online, whether it's Reddit, whether it's fashion blogs, whether it's Instagram or social media. Mm-hmm. They're just smarter about things, but not just smarter, but also maybe more financially aware of how they want to spend their money.
Yes.
And made to measure, custom, whatever you want to call it, you know, they want something that's going to make them look good, mm-hmm, without, you know, spending the money on, you know, something that's out of their price point, or, you know, I think. Yeah.
So you see the same movement, of course, in a nutshell, because
100%.
Yeah. Even, ladies and gentlemen, because you've been hearing me saying so many times, there's a movement, blah blah blah. People want to make to measure, but when you open your eyes in the street, you ask yourself, well, these people who made to measure suit, because you don't really see them. Okay, I saw a few guys in the street, but probably bankers or lawyers, you know, with boring gray suit, etc., etc. So, what is your opinion on that? Because it's about, my question is about the typology of your clientele. Tell me about globally, what kind of man is entering this beautiful place? What is the typology of your customers?
We're definitely trying to get to the typical businessman.
Yes.
Here in these cities that we're located in. We're always near a financial area for the most part. But ever since the pandemic began, it's been a large shift to weddings.
Okay.
So a lot of young individuals who come in specifically for their wedding day.
Yeah.
But then the hope is that with providing the experience that Enzo provides, that we're bringing in somebody who may not come quite as often as a typical businessman would have pre-pandemic, but will continue to come back to us down the line when they need these types of garments.
Do you recall, Richard, some people that you have in mind, because you are here since quite a long time?
Yes.
You've been dressing a lot of people. And do you recall people who came here first for their wedding and then came back for a more business suit?
All the time.
All the time?
All the time.
Oh, that's
because
great.
They're so familiar with the process, they're happy with their wedding tuxedo garment that, you know, maybe it's a a person that just graduated from college and they need their first interview suit or their work suit, or let's say they're having like a holiday party, they're going to come to us. They're just, and yes, we welcome our clients to try other places, but eventually at the end, they always come back to us.
You are telling me, Brad, that basically there's not a specific typology of guy who is coming inside. It can be 25, but it can be also 50. Is that correct? Even a guy like me, you will accept me here?
We'll accept you. We'll let you walk in. Part of our job is to be able to accommodate people from all different walks of life.
Yes.
And make them feel welcome and like we're willing to do what it is that they're asking.
Okay.
Which is important.
Okay. I must take the opportunity that I'm looking at you to congratulate you for your lapels.
Thank you.
Yeah, because, well, I mean, normally, you know, if you follow our channel, and I'm sure most of you are following this channel, is that I'm a little bit addicted to large lapels. Well, this one is reasonable lapels for me, but normally I can go a little bit further than that, but I really like what you have. This is this curved lapel. Yes. And ladies and gentlemen, and specifically gentlemen, if you are a little bit more seasoned, you want to, you know, to go a little bit deeper into that, I can tell you that what this gentleman is wearing is really interesting. Okay, you have to be able to pull it off. It's not easy for everybody to have this kind of small details, but I must congratulate you. Does it mean that your factory is able to do any kind of lapel? Because this is very specific, what you're wearing.
It is very specific. So we have a kind of your typical main designs with the peak lapels and notch lapels. But the curved lapel is a little bit newer one for us, where we may be offering some different widths very soon. So this is one of those newer ones.
Yeah. Is it the largest, the widest you have?
I think it was the second to last.
Okay. There's still another one which is larger than that?
Yes. Yeah.
Mamma mia. At least American, they understand that these little lapels are completely out of fashion. I don't understand. Do you understand why people like Hugo Boss, they do these skinny lapels? If you're a big guy, it's ridiculous. We don't even see your lapel. But if you're a thin guy, it's even worse because you disappear almost. Nobody will see you. So what is I would say the standard size of the lapel that you're offering in this place?
Usually 3.5 to 4 inches.
9 centimeters.
Yeah, he's good with me,
you know,
because 3.5 doesn't really ring any bells for me.
9 centimeters.
9 centimeters,
yes,
which is the standard?
Which is, in translation, it's about 3.5 inches.
Okay, but you confirm, even for a single-breasted, of course, for double-breasted, you can do. How many sizes of lapels are you offering here?
There's a lot. If I had to throw a number out there, maybe 6 or 7 different widths.
Yeah, so basically no limit.
No, up to a certain point, because, I mean, you can go as wide as you want with the peak lapels, but up to a certain point, you don't want it to come past the shoulders. So
of course. I did it.
Yeah, which is fine.
Yeah, but I regret it a little bit now because I went a little bit too far. Do you offer fully canvased or half canvas or both, I suppose? I mean, the entry line at Enzo Custom is half canvas. Am I correct?
Correct, yeah. Half canvassing in the chest will be included with the base cost of any fabric.
Okay, you mean every garment out of this place is never fused?
Never fused. No.
Hallelujah, ladies and gentlemen. This is always music to my ear that they're not using fusing. Even if some people who are using fusing, they said to me, but you know, Hugo, fusing has changed. Now, which is true, actually. It's true. It's more and more qualitative. But still, for me, it's not like a crime. Let's not employ big words like that. But it's a little bit strange when you have the possibility to experience what made to measure and the joy it is to have something really made for you. To go for a few suit, it doesn't make sense to me. But I think it's just a matter of profitability and prices. What is the entry price here at your place? I'm a young man. I want a normal Super 120 suit, nothing special, single-breasted, notch lapel, no Milanese buttonhole. I mean, the standard thing, but still with the full experience of Enzo Custom. What is your entry price?
Well, our entry price is starting at $495 for a half canvas suit, but all those options are included. There's not a lot of additional cost to these that comes with functioning buttonholes.
Okay. You mean the functioning buttonholes will
On the
be an
sleeves.
option? Of
It's,
course.
it's included in
It's
the price as
included?
well, yes.
Oh, wow.
But a lot of our pricing has a lot to do with the fabric that you select. And yes, an entry-level suit does cost $495 for
And
a
the average
suit.
basket will be more around $800?
I think it
1,000?
varies between locations,
Yes.
but at the same time, it's a little bit more complicated than that. Because when a client comes in to buy something, we ask them these questions on what their preferences are, what they're used to. We make recommendations, but if they come in with a certain price point, we try to follow that as close as possible too.
Okay. But if I say that the average basket here, it will be around $1,000. Am I correct?
I would say somewhere between $800 to $1,200 is you'll get a very high-end suit.
Okay, but at the same time, if I want pure cashmere, or if I want super 210, crazy stuff, okay, you're still able to provide this?
We can, yeah. The highest level of quality and all those customizations you could possibly want are included, regardless of whether you're doing the highest end cashmere or entry level Super 130s wool, which is very nice.
This one, Richard, nothing. Okay, peak lapel, a little milliner's buttonhole by hand. How much would it cost? This one on Super 120 entry line fabric.
If we find something similar to it now, somewhere around, I believe, $900 to $1,000, I would say.
Which is, ladies and gentlemen, affordable. I don't want to say that everybody has $900 or euro to spend in a suit, but if you want to spend this kind of money, please, 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 please stop giving your money to Ralph L, to Hugo B, to Giorgio A, all these people who are selling you, well, some of them can be good, but in France we have a saying to say, all these companies who are selling you because of marketing and because of communication, plastic for the price of gold. It's better to come to places like that because for the same kind of budget, you can have a total different experience. So speaking about the experience, let's deep dive now a little bit about if I enter this. So let's play a game. It's going to require a lot of imagination from you. Let's say I'm 26. I know it's difficult to believe, but in my head I am a little bit younger than that, actually. But I'm 26. I just graduated from college. I'm not married. And I'm going to start an internship as a lawyer or student lawyer. And I need a suit because, thank God, there's still a few dress code on this planet. So I just stepped here and I said, okay, well, hello, Richard. Hello, Brad. I just need a suit, but I don't know exactly what I need. What is the first steps you're going to take me in?
In terms of color?
In terms of everything. Let's say I know nothing. I need a suit. And how would you guide me, knowing the fact that it's my first suit?
Okay. Well, first I would ask the customer which he would prefer.
Yes.
Whether it's navy or some version of blue or some gray. These are the two kind of staple colors that you usually see as like your first main suit that you're going to be wearing for work.
Okay.
I prefer navy blue, and I feel like that works well with everybody.
Yeah.
Now, once we kind of choose a material, once we choose color, I'll show him different fabric options in terms of what might be best suitable for him. Something that's a little bit more lighter weight, something a little bit more heavier weight, or something right in the middle. How he likes to wear the suit. Is he a little bit more rough on the suit? Is he more careful with the suits? Once we choose the fabric for the suit, what I like to do is I like to do the measurement process.
Yes.
After that, kind of show the person where it might be tighter, where it might be looser, longer, shorter, but also kind of explain what these things are going to do to the final product.
How do they react normally? A guy who is his first time, are they stressed? It's a little bit.
I think they're mostly nervous, not stressed.
Yes.
But more than just creating a suit for somebody, my preference is to kind of educate the client as well too, so they're aware of what's supposed to look good, what might not look good for them.
Yes.
I might make recommendations, but at the end of the day, we want our clients to be happy.
Yes.
I can give you my opinion of certain things, but at the same time, I want the client to be comfortable and something that's going to work well for him too.
So now let's continue because, Richard, this is the first time maybe I heard this in the made-to-measure salon. You were speaking about very technical stuff that normally are more on the tailoring side, I mean the bespoke tailoring side. We spoke, for example, about button stance.
Yes.
that very few people understand what it is. I don't know if you're also comfortable with also, I have to find the word, you know, when you do this and you have to see the
Yes.
position of your arm.
Yes.
The word will come back to my mind very quickly. So explain to the people. So you understand button stance, and in this place you can act on that.
Yes, we
So
can.
explain to our people what is a button stance.
Button stance is just where that first top button is going to be placed. We also do have female clients, and sometimes they like it a little bit higher, a little bit lower towards like the bust.
So it's the height of the buttoning button, the active button.
Basically, from the top of the shoulder, from the top down to the bottom, we
Yes.
can kind of determine the distance of where it sits. Let's say, for example, we get, I don't know, a larger man with a larger waistline belly.
A beer belly.
Yes, or a beer belly.
Yeah, or hamburger belly.
Yeah, or hamburger
whatever.
belly. In American standards, yes.
Yeah.
I just typically like the button to cover as much of that area as possible to kind of mask that area. So we might do it at the widest point.
Okay.
I think button stance is important, especially when guys are, well, most clients and consumers don't understand that when you shorten a jacket, you lengthen a jacket, these button stances change.
Yes.
So we want to determine a good spot that's going to make it look appealing. Yeah. And to kind of go further, like as clothiers at Enzo Custom, we want to make sure that we're educated and we're aware of all the process, when it comes down to style, but also the tailoring aspect of it. We might not be actually doing all the tailoring work,
of course,
but we have to be familiar with it to create a great product.
Sleeve pitch.
Yes. So
Yeah, I remember just now, sleeve pitch. Hallelujah. That was really.
They call it sleeve pitch. We call it, arm position or forward shoulders or backward shoulders.
Yeah.
These things that kind of shift the shoulders left to right because some people stand a little bit more with their arms back. Sometimes you see athletic guys with their arms a little bit more forward, and it creates certain lines and creases that you want to kind of shift.
Of course. And I'm impressed, to be honest, because sleeve pitch, button stands are quite advanced feature.
We don't explain it to the customers all the time, but we do have to keep that in mind.
Okay. Do you have people who are fighting with you because they want the button a little bit higher, or sometimes you really have to insist? Because I have some people who say they enter here, they think they know everything.
Well, unless you're a perfect specimen like you, Hugo.
No, I'm not. I'm hiding a lot.
We encourage our clients to be aware of that stuff. We get excited when a customer knows about that stuff. But if he's telling me something that's ridiculously wrong and it's too high or too low, I'm going to tell him. But at the end of the day, I'll still make it for him if that's exactly what he wants.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
Coming back to me as a 26-year-old. So Richard say blue suit. Would you go, let's continue. So, okay, I do a blue suit. What do I do? Pick lapels, notch lapels? What would be your first advice for me? I'm a newcomer.
Yeah, simplicity is a good thing in the beginning. So we like for our people to be excited about all the opportunities they have to do different types of lapels and contrasting buttonholes and things along those lines. But having something that's simple and mildly forgettable is probably better than having something that stands out. And when you wear it X amount of days per week or in front of the same people, they don't recognize that it's the same suit every time, especially if it's the first one.
Okay. So it will be blue, navy blue, notch lapel, simple thing. Okay. Question, in America, do people wear belts a lot?
Unfortunately, I mean, yes.
Yeah. You can say unfortunately for me.
No, they still do. And I think when clients come in here and they ask for belt loops on their suit pants, I'm not bothered by it, but I try to encourage it maybe on their second or third suit that a custom suit should fit you well across the waist where you don't need there's no purpose of the belt. Also saves time that you don't have to match your belt with your shoes all the time when you're getting dressed in the morning.
Yes.
But also it's a sign of a well-fitted suit when you're able to wear without any additional accessories.
Yeah, I prefer side adjusters.
Of course, me too.
Or braces. You say suspenders in
braces, suspenders, same.
Yeah. Well, most of the time it's side adjusters because I find it very clean. It's very neat and very clean. Okay, once again, I have nothing against the belts, and I have a lot of good friends who are producing magnificent belts. But for me, apart from everything you just said, which is actually perfectly true, the thing is that for me, the main point about the belt is that it cuts the silhouette in two. Sure. And if you short it's a catastrophe because the more you're going to cut your silhouette, the line visually of your silhouette, the more you're going to shorten your legs. Do you feel that, have you seen customers losing their head here, like being so excited that they came for one suit and then they say, maybe I can do two, or maybe I can do an overcoat? Does it happen? Because at bespoke tailoring, it happens constantly. People, they just lose it. And normally their wife lose it too, because they say, what are you doing? Right? Does it happen here?
All the time. I think once you go custom, made to measure, or bespoke, it's very hard to go back to like the traditional way of retail buying suits.
Of course.
Yeah.
Do you remember, and I will have the same question for you, Richard, do you recall a suit that you were really, really happy with, that a customer that you really changed something into this guy? Because ultimately, ladies and gentlemen, you don't come here just to put some fabric on you and having a suit. You come here because you want to look better. You come here because you want to be more attractive. You come here because you want to be more comfortable and to present the best version of yourself. So it's something important. But do you recall, I'm not talking about your personal wardrobe, I'm talking about a customer that you really, not change his life will be a little bit too strong, but at least that you did something that really changed something in his personality.
Yeah, I mean, I would say that happens probably on a monthly basis for me.
Yes.
Especially when it comes to some of the more wild designs, especially when I'm excited because it's not something that I would necessarily make for myself on a regular basis. So I'm talking about like very specific types of fabrics like Colin & Sherry Masquerade collection type fabrics, making dinner jackets out of things like that, or waistcoats for particularly formal weddings where the groom wants to stand out, which I feel like I get sought after a lot, specifically in Charlotte, by clients who are looking for things similar to that line that I've done for other people. Yeah, those ones really excite me a lot.
The first bunch you talked about was what? Mosaic? I didn't get the
Colin
name.
& Sherry Masquerade.
Masquerade. Can we have it? So here is the Masquerade. This is what Brad is calling the wild stuff. And let's see if there's some wild stuff in it. Did you? Yeah. I'm sure you don't show this very often. Oh, yeah, I can see that. Shades of black. Yeah. Oh, my gosh. That's fun. Sorry. Let's shades of blue. Okay. That's what it says, wild. I show it to the camera. Okay. They say reminiscence of cloudless skies and bottomless seas. The clothiers and the people who are selling clothes are always very poetic, right? About how they go. Yeah, this is wild. You did a few things with this?
I've done, at least a dozen, lots of jackets, a lot of mismatched waistcoats.
Yeah, that's really fun. Okay. If I do something, a new suit, at this place, I'm going to tap into this just to have fun, and to do something interesting. Okay, so you say that you have a lot of memories of people that really looked different after passing into your hands. What is your memory of one or two things that you have in mind? Say, oh my gosh, this guy I really did well, and the suit, you would say, okay, I want to look like him.
I have a lot of stories.
Yeah.
But more recently, sometimes when I've had a client for a long time and they bought their traditional navy suits, gray suits, single-breasted, and what excites me a lot is oftentimes these clients come back and I want something that's a little extra. I want something that's going to pop. I want something that's going to be a little bit flashier. So I have a client who has about 6 or 7 suits with us. And then he eventually kind of got into the very wide peak lapels, larger flat pockets, very Tom Ford-esque style. Yeah. But I think recently he just jumped into flannel suits. And for a short, semi-short guy, a little bit more broad, athletic, I did a navy, very wide, very thick, stripe flannel suit for them. Yes. And,
like a shark stripe, like the winter.
I can show it. It's right over here as well, too.
You have it here?
Yes, I have it.
Show it to me.
Right here.
Yeah. It's from Vitaly Barberis Canonical.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Just a little disclaimer for the people who are from England. I know English people. By the way, we defeated you at soccer a few days ago, but that's another story. But it was a good game. The thing is that most of English people, they say flannel is British. anything which is not British. Flannel can't be anything but British. Well, we agree on that Fox Brothers, for example, is producing one of the most luxurious flannels in the world. Hello, Douglas Cordo is my friend, is the head of Fox Brothers. But Vitale Barberis, Canonico, hello Francesco Barberis, are producing, in my opinion, one of the most exquisite flannels on earth. And I explain to you why. Because you have both of the best of both worlds with the VBC. You have this protection of flannel, which is, flannel is not a type of wool, it's a type of finishing. We explain this, we'll give you the link on this episode that we explain that flannel is just a different finishing that create this kind of smooth feel, but the Italian flannel for me is both best of the both worlds. You have the thickness and the warmth and the thermic qualities of flannel, but at the same time you have the Italian hand. That is to say, this softness. That, okay, I love English fabrics, but I must say that Vitale Barberis Canonico do a great job. And the first guy to say that was my friend Bruce Boyer, very important men's style writer. And he said to me that according to him, VBC's flannels are very good. Look at that. So you did this one.
Yes, a double-breasted.
Yes.
And he just wore it to a normal convention.
Yes.
And he just got so many compliments.
Of course.
He's sending me selfie photos with him and 6 other guys in very bad-fitting suits, and he looks great. But, there's other things to this, too. I have a client who is an attorney, very serious attorney, that wears his traditional suits, but he's lost maybe about 40 to 50 pounds.
Good boy.
And, he's getting compliments at yoga and at the gym by people wondering where he got the suits from. We're doing very light blue plaid suits, something a little bit more out of the ordinary than what you would probably see for a guy like him in court and stuff.
Okay, okay. It's very rewarding for you, right? When you have this kind of reaction from your customer and say to you, well, I had a lot of compliments. It's rewarding. It makes you feel good, right?
And, I mean, every clothier has, I don't know, they have some type of purpose. And, more than clothes, I genuinely want to see people happy and, have whatever they're wearing, maybe build their self-confidence and, just apply it to their normal daily lives with the suits that they wear. Yeah,
which is good. These are good things, because I want to explain to the people in places like that, you're not coming just to pick up something, and you have to go through the experience. How long is the average time for serious order at this place? For the first time you come, choose the fabric, I would say an hour and a half, 2 hours?
Usually we'll be between about an hour and a half with first-time clients.
We in New York, everything has to be a little bit faster than anywhere else in the world.
Closer to an hour mostly here.
Oh, okay.
In Charlotte, it's an hour and a half. Always.
It's an hour and a half, yeah. In Europe, it's more 2 hours. But the difference is that, I remember the first time I entered here, there's a beautiful young lady at the desk, and she offered me a Chardonnay. I remember, but I came this morning, no Chardonnay was offered to me. I'm just joking, because it was a little bit early when I arrived at 8 o'clock. But yeah, so it's an experience, and I want to stress this, ladies and gentlemen, before we're going to wrap up this discussion, this very interesting discussion with these two fine gentlemen, is that we live in a world that everything is so standardized, so virtual, so quick, so immediate almost. It's not even quick anymore. We speak about immediacy, about everything. That a place like that is not only a place where you're going to find beautiful suits for a fantastic value, because we're going to wrap up on that, but for me, that you can be around $500 starting from for a quality and a service like that is really unbelievable. Let's wrap up. Brad, remind me. So a little bit of the prices here and all the details. I enter here. I want to make a suit. So what is the prices at Enzo Custom, the delay, the delivery, so that people in 2 sentences have the big picture of what you do here?
Yeah, so prices are typically going to go between around 500 entry level up to maybe 5,000 at the top end.
Yes.
Average transactions typically around $1,200, we'll say, for suit and shirt, first time client. An expected time would be maybe a month to get the garment in, a little bit longer if it's imported, and then typically a second fitting to do minor adjustments after the fact, and then typically you have it in your hands after that point.
Okay. People have to take an appointment, I suppose?
It's appointment only. So first appointment can be a consultation or a new order. Consultation is just 30 minutes of going over these kinds of facts. And then a new order is usually an hour to an hour and a half here. Follow-ups are typically 30 minutes.
It means I can ask for a consultation even if I'm not ready to buy.
Correct.
Yeah. You will not throw me away.
No.
You will still serve me a glass of Chardonnay?
We will, yeah.
Oh, well,
We'll
I will
enjoy
come here
ourselves.
every day.
Yeah.
But for 30 minutes, though.
What?
Yeah, but for 30 minutes.
Yeah, of course. So that's the thing in a nutshell. And you confirm, Richard, that the prices that Brad just told us about is all included. I have to say if I have alteration, if I have after delivery alteration, whatever you cover.
Yes, they're all included. And we do have some options that are a little extra. And that's, for example, like a Milanese buttonhole might
Yes.
be $30 extra. But pretty much everything else is all included. But speaking on price point, it's around $5,000. But we have things that go up to $10,000. We have things that go up to $30,000.
Yes. Yeah, Vigunia, of course, because it's related to the fabric quality.
It's related to the fabric, yes.
Yeah. But it's very important that people understand once for all that this kind of place is not unreachable and unaffordable. But on the other side, if you want extreme luxury, you can also have it here.
Exactly.
That's very interesting. Well, I think it's about it. We wanted to say about that. Oh, I have a last question.
Great.
Okay. You know my wardrobe, or well, probably not. You know part of my wardrobe. Okay. If you look at me, I want your inspiration. Maybe I'm going to do a new suit here at Enzo Custom. Would you have an idea for me?
I'm really excited about browns and burnt oranges right now. So
Browns and?
burnt oranges.
Burnt
Fall
oranges.
type of tones. Yeah.
Show us this. Okay, show us. That's your obsession. Oh, wow. That's interesting. It's for summer. This is linen from... this is linen from Solbiati, right?
Yes. It's a linen wool.
Oh, no, it's linen, wool, and silk. Oh, I love this kind of mix. Well, you can do trousers with that? No.
Oh, you can.
You
Have them
can?
in the wardrobe.
I mean, you put lining inside. But
Yes, of course, because otherwise it will be a little bit uncomfortable in some areas. But, okay, so that's what you would do for me.
So for my own wedding, I even wore a Solbiati winter cotton burnt orange mini cord dinner jacket. So
you're obsessed because it was for your wedding. When did you get married?
just over a year ago.
Oh, congratulations. We still, no, normally it's 1 year to say congratulations, but we didn't know each other, so I couldn't tell you congratulations. Okay, well, I keep this on the, and what about you?
I've already pulled it out. I think you should do something flashy, like a light pink salmon kind of.
Oh, this guy
Full suit.
it's taking me by the sentiments. Look at that. Well, actually, it's kind of the same idea.
Yes.
But it's really more pink.
More pink, but it's not like a hot pink.
Yeah.
It's a very faded light pink. I've done this one several times, but
Yeah.
I've also, surprisingly enough, I've done the.
This is Loro Piana, the bunch called Mare.
Where is this?
Go, take your time.
I did
You just-
that looks pretty nice as well, too.
Yeah, you know, well, okay. I don't know how many suits I have, a lot, but I'm still excited like a kid. When I touch this, I can see myself directly in this. Well, we'll see.
Okay.
We'll discuss. We'll keep you posted about that. Well, it was a wonderful conversation. Thank you very much, Brad.
Thank you.
For your participation. Thank you, Richard.
Thank you, Hugo.
And so, in a nutshell, we were at Enzo Custom. We're in Manhattan, New York. We're going to put under the video all the links, all the addresses also of all the 7 showrooms they have in the United States. We're going to provide also the links to the different video that we've been speaking of today. It was a real pleasure. So remember one thing. We can assure you that if you come to Enzo Custom, whether it is in Philadelphia or Charlotte or New York or DC or anywhere that have a place, you are safe. And that's the thing I want to tell you, because so many people have had bad experiences. They want to go MTM, but they want to go the closest to their place, and they go to a department store who pretend to do made to measure, but actually they just retouch the length of the trousers, and they make some hem. This is not made to measure. It's just alteration. So in a place like that, you save for different reasons. You save because you have experts that are going to help you in your sartorial journey, first, second, or whatever suit. Secondly, you save with the price because pretty much everything is included, including the alteration that can be. And you told me, Richard, that basically you are obsessed by the fact to really please your customers. So, well, pretty much you will do whatever is needed.
Well, it also speaks to the clothier themselves.
Yes.
If it does not fit well, if it does not look good, it's going to look bad on us. So
of course, I understand. So you save here. You can have great suits and great garments for your money, which is very affordable. Let's say an average of $1,000, $1,200. But if you are really on the budget, you can have even lower than that. And the third thing is that I want you to touch, to feel the experience of what it means. Taking time for yourself, being in a nice environment, not being in the crossroad of the world, not being stressed about your parking, or you can maybe stress about your parking in New York all the time. But it's something that it's an experience. And in the United States of America, this is the place to go. Enzo Custom, it was a pleasure to be with you, gentlemen. We give you an appointment to the next episode of Sartorial Talks. In the meantime, dress up, people. Don't let the casual atmosphere take over you. Even if you work from home, please don't work in your sweatpants. At least when you have a Zoom conference, put on the jacket. I don't care if you are wearing your underwear, but add some beauty to this world. Add a little bit. I don't evangelize people to where everybody has to wear a suit and tie. No, but everybody can, at his level, re-inject a little bit of beauty, a little bit of kindness, a little bit of serenity in a world that is becoming crazy. And this is what we're going to continue to do in the next episode of Sartorial Talks. Cheers, my friends. See you soon.